Hi there. Welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we talk about 3 or 4 fun, cool tech topics in the news. Sciencey. Today is a very sciencey show, and get you on your way in about 20 minutes. Today, if you've noticed all year long, we've been featuring all these old timers from the Creation Stations who have been here for years and doing all these things. And today, Miss Serena, I think you might be our very newest person in Creation Stations, aren't you?
Indeed, I am. I'm
That is
probably one of the
awesome.
younger.
Oh, we need that too. We definitely need that. So you're over at Creation Station Maine. Tell people what you're doing there in this space.
So, with the main library's creation station, our makerspace, of course, we have our specialization with 3D printing. We offer virtual reality gaming. We offer, of course, Adobe Premiere and trainings, our Cricut machine, sewing machine, kind of a niche for everybody in the space to be the most creative that you can.
It's an awesome thing. It's a very, very awesome thing. And you guys, right on the 3rd floor, so it's really easy to get to. Anybody who comes downtown, you almost walk right into it and see all the stuff. So it's very useful and our oldest space. It's been in like 3 different locations inside of the same building, but Main Library is the oldest one around. Speaking of old, that's a horrible segue for this one, I think, Serena. When you lose your teeth, which is where I came up with the whole if you're old thing, up till this point, people have had to have artificial teeth. Yes, George Washington had wooden teeth, quote unquote, little fake enamel things added on there, metal teeth. We do ceramics now. A lot of things, mercury and silver and things in your mouth, not a good idea. They have finally figured out how to possibly, and this is an experiment that happened and it worked, so that's why we can talk about it. It's not in humans yet, but they're getting there, to grow brand new teeth in pigs. Do you want a pig tooth in your mouth?
Probably not. Listen, there is nothing wrong with the beauty of aging and losing your teeth at any point in time. It makes for an incredible natural smile. But I totally get it for anyone else that is thinking more on the cosmetic end of things.
Yeah. And so the reason this is important is because it is all natural. It's actually human dental tissue.
Ooh.
Ooh, holy cow. I just lost the word. What is the enamel? There we go. Thank you. That they grow in this and it grows out of, and they're just using the pig as a way of hosting this, similar to we talked about on the show a couple of years ago about growing ears on the backs of mice and things like that, because it's a cartilage thing that you can just cleanly take right off the mouse and then sew it onto somebody's side of their head. Same thing here. You can take these teeth out and then implant them in a human, just like you would any other artificial dental work. So it's something that's really interesting and cool coming down the pike. I also thought like the idea that this professor's like, we haven't changed dental care in 500 years. Like, yeah, maybe it's time to try some different things.
Maybe. There is nothing wrong with a little bit of change, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then that's the artistry that's in dentistry, is the ability to carve and make it super pretty and match up of all the other pieces in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's a story that I found really fascinating. I love this story, and it's about advertising. Do you like advertising?
Well, I took quite a number of classes in marketing when I was still in my
Oh,
university program, so I'm
okay
no
then.
stranger to it.
Well, very good then. So one of the things about this that I know, and everybody out there's like, Bob, there's way too many ads already. That's kind of the point. This gets rid of a bunch of ads. This is an e-ink display. So it's very much like a Kindle with the paper e-ink that looks like this. These are color versions, and they are 75 inches tall. So they're over 6.25 foot or so. So
Wow.
yeah, basketball player sized. And they don't take any power when they're in display mode. The only power they need is to turn on, quote unquote, to add a new different ad or to connect to Wi-Fi or whatever. But you don't even have to do Wi-Fi. You can just plug in a USB to this thing, load your next ad on there, and you're done. And you're using a trickle of energy over the course of years on something like this.
Yeah, I see that it does have like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth like
Yeah.
abilities, including also built-in rechargeable battery with
Mm-hmm.
USB-C ports, which is
Yeah,
crazy for that kind of storage. I would have easily thought something like that could have even ran on like solar, which wouldn't even require any kind of plugging in.
exactly. And you very well could do that if you're using this in an outdoor environment, which you can because it's e-ink. Unlike those LCD screens, and they get, in the bright sunlight, they get weird, and you go to the LED lights, and those take up a lot of energy and all that stuff.
A
This
lot of
replaces
kids
it all, and it's portable-ish, and it's replaceable. The ads you can flip the ads as much as you want to. You wouldn't want to have them as a rotating thing, but you can change them so you don't have all of the waste of putting up paper displays on the side of a wall or something. So this is just like getting us closer to a very cool physical advertising thing. And I really don't want them to be in my glasses. If we can avoid doing advertising inside of glasses, I'll very much appreciate that.
Me too. There's enough clicking I already have to do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
But I can also see it where like if you're putting it in a business sense too, how it might be a small investment to put in now, but it will pay
Yeah.
itself off in the long run.
Yeah. Just imagine the energy costs you save just
Mm.
from having some TV screen running 24/7 to almost zero energy used for this. You're going to save a couple $100 a month minimum right from the start.
And then you can also probably see an uptake of people coming into said
Yeah.
businesses when they realize, oh, sustainable practices, then
Yeah.
I
You
want to
hope.
be there more.
You really hope. Yeah.
In theory.
Mm-hmm. And speaking, another visual story. Here we go for you. There we go. Man, we're kind of actually making this these segues today. Do you recognize that picture?
Kind of looks like my sleep paralysis demon, if you ask me.
So this is a picture of a bird of paradise taken in the infrared in a non-traditional color spectrum. I will put it that way. And so it looks radically different in this picture than it would look anywhere else. And this is the original article that talks about it, but I wanted to bring up another picture so people can see. Stop that. This is what a regular bird of paradise looks like to humans versus, let's see if they've got that picture. Nope. I'm going to jump back over to the other one. And here's what it looks like to another bird. Because birds' eyes see in a totally different spectrum. All light is in a various spectrum, everything from infrared to ultraviolet and all the various colors that we see. And this biofluorescence that pops up in their feathers indicates, and they can change it, and it tweaks based on mating rituals and all the other stuff. And I just thought this was a fascinating little story about all of the things that are happening all around us that we can't see because our eyes aren't good enough.
Oh my. I can also see this being yes, it's like a way for them to also identify each other. Imagine if it was being used for like real like individualistic traits of being able to
Yeah.
identify them. So
Yeah. So it's 30, there's 37 different species of them, and 36 they've already tracked and proven all the bioluminescence. And you're right. They can track it across their different types, species of the various birds of paradise. So they can look and they can see the differences in the two, even though humans would have a much harder time just going on plumage color, or we may need the shape of a beak or something like that to prove which is which. So all of those sorts of things that are there, and like you said, what could you do if you could change things?
I mean, in terms of change, I don't think I have any like that comes to mind. The only thing that I did think of though, at least seeing with the way that their feathers can change, imagine what it'd be like having at least one of these birds in like an animal sanctuary and like being
Hmm.
brought to like outreaches, and it's like introducing so and so named bird, and the fun fact about it is that he glows yellow, and
Yeah.
that's how we can identify this bird.
And then put on a special set of glasses that can
That
detect that frequency and see it in there. That wouldn't that be,
hmm
see, cool ideas. And again, all these visual things. I think it's because I've been looking for our summer learning program stuff. We have a theme of color coming up this summer, and so I'm getting all these types of things in my feeds lately. And I was like, oh wait, hey, that's kind of cool. I want to put that on the show.
Ah, yes, color your world.
It's gonna be a fun. It's gonna be a fun summer, everybody.
Definitely spend
Now,
time at the libraries.
yes, come to the library. So there's a new thing that Apple released yesterday, the day before, to track your health. You're an Android or Apple person?
I am an Android person through
Okay.
and through. I'm so sorry for anyone else that is Apple.
It's a definite choice. I mean, you have two different ideas about how you want to be in each ecosystem.
Of
But
course,
for the
no
Apple
judgment.
people, yeah, the people who, by the way, there are other companies like Withings and everything that work on that do this same sort of thing.
Mhm.
Withings is a European health company that does health gear. Um, I've used them a lot in the past, so I just know of them.
Mhm.
But in this case, we're just talking about the Apple product type stuff. They are going to track. You have to opt in. This is not something that you just do. So if you're out there on Apple, don't worry. They're not automatically tracking you, but you can give them all of your health data, everything, your sleep scores, your breathing rate, your heart rate, your exercise, your steps, all of your data based on the AirPods and on your watch and just the stuff in your phone or whatever else that's going on with you. So if you've got a fitness tracker watch, they could track all of your stuff and do all of your things to do this. Plus, on top of the biometrics, they know all of your demographic information and they know all of your locational information. So, in theory, this is a great thing if you're a scientist wanting to study data to say, okay, human, male, white, over the age of 50, exercising in South Florida compared to same demographic, male, white, over 50 in California, and comparing two different ecological areas and temperatures and all the other stuff and seeing what are those things like. And you can compare from a rich area to a poor area. You can do a lot of stuff with this data.
Definitely, and I can also see it being, yeah, it's a way to track it over since it's like a day-to-day tracker, like over longitudinal studies.
It's second to second tracking. Yeah.
hmm Essentially, every little thing that you do, as long as you're, of course, opting into it, because of course it is voluntary, um, to kind of see your own track changes over time. I can also see this being um, definite ways to contribute to like the national health studies and stuff like that. If you wanted to study like sleep apnea or like heart disease and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
And that's actually, in the current political climate and what's going on in Washington, D.C. with congressional funding for the National Institute of Health and all things like that right now. That's also another reason why this caught my eye was, do we really want to offload that kind of research to private companies and hope that they're not going to add the personalized, your protected information to these studies? I mean, in theory, it's all anonymized.
In theory, but of course, with any third party information, it does end up coming back to you in forms of marketing. So,
Yeah.
personalized
Yeah.
ads and all sorts of things that makes you
I
wonder
can
if you're
easily
right.
see Apple sending me an ad that says, "Hey, you've run 2,000 miles in those tennis shoes. You need to buy new ones."
I'll give you a prime example too, because like I used to use Garmin, and like of course with my step tracker and stuff like that, it became like a whole plethora of ads on my own social media. It's just like, oh, you want to make money for walking and stuff like that, and they'll direct you to all sorts of apps where you can earn gift cards and all sorts of things like that.
Yeah.
Get rewarded for doing basic things.
It's an interesting thing. So I encourage as always, the links are in the show notes. Even if you're not an Apple user, go read this article from The Verge and go see, hey, this is what they're talking about. This is what the kind of stuff that they can capture, they could capture if you wanted them to, so that you're aware of what your devices are actually tracking around you. And then finally, we have another AI story. I am sorry. I know everybody gets tired of hearing AI stories, and you may very well get tired of hearing them from me because I'm always focused on the copyright side of things. And just 3 episodes ago, we said, and here's a ruling from the Copyright Office, and this is why you're not going to be able to copyright things. And now they just came out with a new ruling that said, yes, you can copyright things. This is what the world is like. The world of tech is very much always changing, always in flux. Legal issues change and stuff like that. In a quick nutshell for you, currently, if you ask a generative AI model to create a piece of art, text, whatever you're trying to do, and that's all you do, and you take that, it is not copyrightable. If you take a photo and then you use AI filters on it and you change it dramatically, it is not copyrightable. A company, created a piece of art using AI, but using so much human intervention that it was ruled that it is able to be copyrighted. First off, do you think that was a clear enough explanation for you, Serena?
No, I get it. I do. For me, it's clear, at least since I do tend to utilize programs that do incorporate generative AI into it. I'm not a huge fan of using it myself because I always do worry that, of course, artificial intelligence, you have to feed it information in order for it to generate newer information. And I always worry that when you create stuff using it, that it could also take from other existing works, and therefore it could be considered almost intellectual property theft.
Yeah.
In a way.
Exactly. And that is an issue of what are we taking? Where is it being taken from? How are we going to use this and do all those things? So in general, how the ruling on this was for this particular piece of art, again, it's a piece of art that has had a ruling on it. So it is not necessarily that this is the definitive thing, obviously, if you've been paying attention over the last year to our shows. What they did was they created a actual piece of art themselves that they drew and they created. Then they took the AI and had it remix a very specific portion of the art until it changed enough that they liked it, and then used that portion in that piece of the art. And then they did another piece of the art and remixed that small portion also. And they did that on many different spots on it. And what the ruling was is that this was much more of a collage type effect. So if you take 26 photographs and you cut them up and you rearrange them and you put them together into a collage to create a brand new image of that, you can get a copyright on that new mosaicked photograph if it was all physical pieces in front of you. And that's what the ruling was. This is just doing that same thing of taking these various pieces of copyrightable or uncopyrightable art, combining them to a new transformative piece, which is the key word. Are you transforming something? And then now it is something that you could get a copyright on. If you're out there and you're like, oh, great, now I can go do this. Yeah, no, you can't. This person went through months of work of creating and building and working through this just to make a point that you will be able to copyright certain images on this stuff. And oh, by the way, it was the CEO of the AI generating company that did this. So it's not like he had no small amount of skills to be able to pull this off.
It takes a lot of practice, a lot of knowledge to just be able to go about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of art direction. So,
and that's where he got his ruling for, because all of that direction, all that art decisions and directing done by the human, not done by a piece of machinery, not done by a piece of code, That's what qualified him to be able to get a copyright on this. So it's, as we said, it's all evolving. It's all going well. Eventually it'll go well for someone, maybe. I know the whole where they got their information from is a totally separate argument, issue, problem than the how do you use the existing tools problem as well. So we'll make that through. Thank you so much for being here, Miss Serena.
Thank you for having me, Bob.
Oh, always, always, always. We're going to be featuring more people from the various creation stations over the next few weeks, showing you all the staff that actually works in these spaces. So I got the wrong slide up. There we go. So if there is someone at one of these spaces you want to see featured on the show, or you have an idea that you want us to cover, reach out. creationstation@broward.org comes right to us, and we'll be glad to try and fit it on. Have a great week, everybody.